The Miami Dolphins have been anything but quiet this offseason. They have made move after move, releases, additions, but the big question is, what does it all mean? And I think a lot of people, especially those that aren't Dolphin fans, are looking at it and saying, hey, Mike Puncy, Jarvis Landry, and Ndamukong Suh aren't these kind of core pieces. Is this, are the Dolphins tanking? Are they pulling the Browns? Are they rebuilding? What is going on? Now, the best way I can describe it is it is a rebuild, and the Dolphins are changing, but it is not a tank job. When you look at some of these, Sue, I think, is mainly just a cap savings hit, even though you lose your best player, really, in my opinion, on the entire roster, but at least on the defensive side. Jarvis Landry, that situation was not intentional for him to leave. They did make a couple of offers to try and keep him. They felt as if he wasn't, the market was overpaying him, that he wasn't worth what Jarvis Landry was wanting, so they traded him, got a fourth and a seventh back, and they replaced him with Albert Wilson and Damian Amendola. And now with some of the cap savings, we've seen them make moves like the trade for Robert Quinn become official, the addition of Daniel Kilgore and Joshson to improve a offensive line that has needed an improvement for 5 years now going on, and probably some more moves to come. So the Miami Dolphins are trying to basically get rid of the old team that has been there for 4 or 5 years. They've gotten rid of guys that have been there for a while. You're talking about, again, Landry, Sue, Puncy. These guys are made up the core of the previous team. Now, basically, when you look at the Miami Dolphins now, the only guys who have been on the team, from 2012 or later is Cam Wake and Ryan Tannehill. The vast majority of their team was added just in 2014 and even more recent than that. When you look at the 2016, 2017 classes, both of those classes, most of those guys are still on the team and will probably play big roles for the team next year. So it's a direction to move younger. It's a direction to move cheaper. You look at the quarterback position as well. Ryan Tannehill's contract is being restructured. There's still talks of the Dolphins having dinner with Baker Mayfield and meeting with Josh Allen and Josh Rosen. So there's some interest in maybe getting some competition going at quarterback as well. And it is a new direction for the Miami Dolphins. Now, is it one they should trust? That is the question for Dolphin fans. Now that you know what it is, should you trust it? And I think that there are some red flags. I thought, again, that some of the moves, like adding Wilson and Amendola both, and some of the free agents that they tried to get and didn't succeed, felt like win now moves. And I'm not saying that the Dolphins shouldn't try to win now, but that should not be the intent. There should not be this kind of rush to make moves and try to win now and try to compete right away and spend money on 30-year-old veterans. I think it's one thing for Joshson to sign him up for a couple years if you think, your offensive line really needs it. And if you're going to make changes, with a new running back or a new quarterback anyway, not really a fair chance that you're giving those guys if you give them a crappy line, as we've seen with Tannehill for many years now. So that is one thing, but some of these other veterans that they've added, again, feel like win now moves when the team really should be committing to this idea of getting younger and rebuilding. And even if it means you're not a great team next year, because you're probably not going to be anyway, the focus can be 2019. The focus can be 2020. You shouldn't jeopardize those years just because you want to try and squeeze out what might be a wild card team next year. I think another red flag potentially could very well be the fact that this rebuild, this kind of look, is being ran by Mike Tannenbaum for the most part. And I know a lot of the talk has been about getting Adam Gase's guy, but at the end of the day, Adam Gase is still the head coach. He's not the general manager. He's not the vice president, but as Chris Greer and Mike Tannenbaum are. Those are still the guys working out deals, making draft picks, making moves, and the focus may be, hey, what does Adam Gase want? But again, those are still the guys pulling the strings. And we've seen Tannenbaum have both success and failure with the New York Jets. And so far, we've seen him have both success and failure with the Miami Dolphins. So it is a wild card. It's not, I don't mean to say Mike Tannenbaum's running the show as if, oh, well, that means he's going to mess it up. But you don't know. the coin with Mike Tannenbaum can flip either way. So I think it's going to be interesting to see what the Miami Dolphins do moving forward, how committed they are to this idea of rebuilding and reloading this team and giving it a new culture as they talk about trying to add. What is that going to look like? What is the emphasis going to look like? Is it, with the additions of Wilson and Amendola, is it about, speed and getting guys everywhere and getting them moving over the field? What kind of defense are we going to have post Ndamukong Suh? I think these are questions that need to be answered. But of course, as we get those answers, I'll keep cranking out videos. Y'all keep leaving comments. Also follow me on Twitter and let me know what you guys think about the Dolphins offseason so far. Peace out.